Self-defense is literally self-defense. But people don't do that anymore. And I'm going to explain why they don't do it. They don't do it because it doesn't help their bottom line. When they do a self-defense seminar, the vast majority of instructors will teach it in a way that is symbolic to the art of that they teach. They're not saying, okay, well, let's do self-defense. I want this, Bob, you're the biggest guy here. I want you to throw a haymakers right there on that one. She's the smallest one we got. When does that happen? They don't. They're always like, okay, against a right punch, we want you to do this. The average Joe on the street don't know how to do a right punch. They watch MMA, they watch boxing, they get the idea. But you guys know as well as I do, if you're not trained on how to throw that punch, you're not going to throw the punch like you're trained. You're going to try to do it like you saw it, right? So, and those details are very evident to a trained martial artist. But as a trained martial artist, we have to understand that we're going to be fighting against someone more than likely that's not trained. But where they have a high amount of skill is they are going to be more violent, they are going to be bigger, they're going to be stronger, they're going to have a tactical advantage, there's going to be more of them. And I say this in general construct, right? Generally speaking, an attacker goes after prey. So an attacker is going to see you as weak. No attacker is going to go after a bigger person, not generally. And if they do, then the attacker is like a hyena. There's more of them. Or they have a tactical advantage. They get the surprise attack, they've got a gun, they've got a knife, firearms, edge weapons, etc. They have an advantage. No, that's why they're choosing you. You're in the spot where they feel they have the advantage. So when you go to, whether it's the Taekwondo schools, the Kempo schools, the Karate schools, or the Jiu-Jitsu schools, or everyone will always teach it like, okay, they expect the attacker to move like the art that they're in. You guys have all seen it on the YouTubes and the videos, like, okay, this is self-defense technique versus a, here we go, fill in the blank. And it's the attack that they do, it's always something that you see in their art. It's a counter to something they're already doing. Well, of course, if you're doing, again, fill in the blank with whatever generic art you want, you're obviously trained in that art and the ability to counter that said art. So why would you do self-defense away from that in a world that you're dealing with criminals, you're dealing with violence? You would want to replicate the attacks that you see in that realm, not whatever it is art you're doing. I think if I just said, well, we teach martial arts, then everyone should be like, oh, okay, good, and they know what they're doing. But in the world we live in now, we can't say that because there's so many people that teach martial arts that don't know what they're doing. There's lots of people that teach self-defense that don't know what they're doing. So now we have to use the word, I teach reality-based self-defense. Because some people teach self-defense and it's ridiculous. It is not self-defense. Right? So now we have to say we teach reality-based self-defense, meaning we're going to do things that's going to fit reality. Which gets us to the next principle that I always preach every time we do a Go Shinjutsu training event here, right? You always want to make sure that what you're doing is going to be highly probable, not possible. It is possible I will win the lottery if I buy a ticket. It is not probable. You do not want your self-defense skills to be in the realm of possible. You want it to be in probable. You need to, we're training all these techniques, and you guys are all different heights, different weight, different age, different flexibility, different set of skills. Some of you are faster, some of you are quicker, some of you are stronger, whatever, right? Every one of us are different. We have a different set of skills. We have a different everything. We all have our own thing that we do that we're good at. When I teach the 7 traditions to you guys, I teach it in a complete way. I do not expect every student to be able to do every freaking technique perfect, because we're not. They were passed down from one generation to the next, and different masters over the years put little things in there. So different people were involved in what we have today after the hundreds of years it's been passed down to what we do. Of course, the 7 traditions, you want to master everything. Your goal is to learn everything that you can in the 7 traditions. Right? There's your goal. Then we get to reality. The reality is there's going to be a small set of skills that you can do really good from these 7 traditions. And those skills is what you're going to use in a reality-based self-defense situation. Like I said, it's possible I win the lottery if I buy a ticket. It's not probable. It's possible some of these schools that do jump, spinning, back heel kicks and all that stuff. I guess it's possible you could do that in a self-defense situation. It's not probable. You guys know how I feel about turning your back to your opponent. We don't do it. You know what I mean? You should be showing your ass to the person that you're fighting, right? So many people in this world of internet and YouTube and, oh, I'm the greatest self-defense instructor and this. It's like, here I am trying to preserve these ancient traditions of the ninja and samurai, and they fought for real to protect something that they love. And here I'm trying to teach these things and preserve them and help you guys be able to fight and protect yourself and the ones that you love as well. But we're also doing this in this realm where you guys have to see a complete different, so many different options and so many different things out there that have nothing to do with the reality of which you would protect yourself. Again, another example. You watch MMA, right? Boxers do boxing, kickboxers do kickboxing, MMA does MMA. You watch karate tournaments, they do karate tournaments. Yeah, you do jiu-jitsu tournaments, you see jiu-jitsu tournaments. Judo does judo, right? And they have their own way of sparring. We spar. We do kumite and sparring and grappling, and we do all that stuff too. But then there's reality. Watch the news. How many times have you ever watched the violence on the news? The edged weapons, the riots, the firearms. You see all of that, this brutal violence on the news. When did any of that look like a boxing match? When does any of that violence that we see look like a freaking MMA match or a karate tournament or a judo tournament? It doesn't. I'm not saying that these skills, because we do jiu-jitsu, we do kempo, I'm not knocking it. I'm saying the skills can be utilized here, but so many people, they'll spar or they'll grapple or they'll do some sort of a tournament sport fighting, and they think that that method directly fits there. And it doesn't. Because a criminal is good at being a criminal. And someone who has the mindset of a criminal and they live a very deceptive life and they don't care whether they hurt you or not, and they have firearms and edged weapons and there's more of them. The guy on the street is way more violent than the person you just got to do the technique on. And the guy on the street's hungry. He ain't ate in 2 days. You got something he needs. There's a big difference. So training in self-defense is training, it's training to defend yourself. But more importantly, and this is where everyone, so up to point, everyone's like, oh, those are good points, good points, good points, I get it. But here's where they also fail. And this is where now 90% martial arts people are probably watching the video and be like, okay, good point, good point, good point. But then a lot of times their training stops here. Because martial arts or self-defense isn't just defending yourself against something physical. It's defending yourself against mental attacks, emotional attacks, spiritual attacks. It's defending yourself not just against a physical, right grab or a right punch or a knife or a stick or whatever. It's defending yourself mentally, emotionally. It's also defending yourself against yourself. How many times people aren't successful because they live in their own head? They tell themselves, I'm ugly, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, I'm never going to be successful. They get in their own head. They beat the shit out of themselves. Well, how the hell are you going to beat someone bigger, stronger, faster, quicker, more athletic? They got a knife, and they're more violent. And you don't just have to fight them, but you also got to fight your own head. So self-defense is not just against the right grab. You guys have to know that. Every day you're training your self-defense. Every day it's another opportunity to polish the mind, the body, the spirit, to protect yourself in what it is that you love. And that could be anything, not just people. So when I say protect yourself in the ones that you love, it's not just people. Everything in your life that you have a connection to. That's what you have to defend, because that's you.